What's up, fools? So today I just want to do a quick little simple video for you guys about the presets that I'm releasing. They're only 15 bucks, you get 5 of them, but I'm going to show you the photos that they were actually made for, as well as how I use them, or how I would encourage you to use them when you're putting them on your photos. So we'll just jump right into it. Open up the Lightroom. I've already got them in here, ready to go. So presets are not always a one and done thing. Now, everyone advertises them that way, you know, edit your photos with one click. It's not a lie for the most part, and hopefully it is one click. The thing is that presets are made to and for specific photos, right? So if we just jump right into this, we've got the posty shot. If you follow me, you've seen it. It's just a classic shot I've got to post. But if we throw the Malone Labe preset on it, that's it. That's the one that you guys have seen on my Instagram or around or wherever, and it's one and it's done. However, this preset was made for this photo, so it applies to it perfectly when I have the raw version of it. If I take this preset and I apply it to another photo, let's apply it to this one of my hand. Not so good, right? So on this photo specifically, I just wouldn't use this preset at all, really, right? But let's just say that this photo of Posty is your photo and you've applied this preset and this is what you get. You do not have to leave it just that way. Presets are very good to use as starting points. Whether you give to them or take from them is your choice. But don't just become a one and done and you put it up, because then you start limiting yourself and your creativity. And that's just not a place you want to be. When I first discovered presets, I was kind of doing that. I was just one and click. And then I was like, well, where's my style? Where's my specific thing that I like, or what makes me me? What makes my content mine? So when you get this, use the presets, but use them as a starting point. Give to them, take from them, whatever you choose, but don't just click it and be done with it. Maybe every once in a while it looks perfect and you want to leave it. There's nothing wrong with that, but I would encourage you to mess around with it. So say this photo of Posty is yours and you apply this preset. Let's say for you, let's see, there's a heavy fade on this photo. I like that, that's my style. There's a lot of grain in here. I also like that, that's also my style. But maybe that's not yours. Maybe you don't like that much of a fade. So if you head over into this right side where you have everything, you've got basic, tone curve, HSL, color grading, all of these things, right? I add my fades in tone curve. Everyone's different, so you're gonna have to jump into this right sidebar and you're gonna have to see what it is you need to change in order to get the ultimate results that you want. But you hop into this sidebar, mine's in tone curve, and let's say you just don't like fade. So you hop over here, you drop that fade, you get rid of it, it's a completely different photo, and maybe now that's your style. All you did was change one thing, but it made it more yours, or it better fits your feed or your style, or whatever you like. So ultimately just encourage you guys to, you know, grab presets from me or whoever, but it doesn't always have to be a one and done, and it may not always be a one and done. So just, you know, hop into that sidebar, create a little, mess around with it, see what you do and don't like, give or take from it, whatever you want, but I would definitely encourage you to do that. So set it back to as is. This is one of the presets you guys will be getting, the Malone Labe. And then this actually is another photo that was taken basically in that same moment, just a different shot. So the Malone Labe preset is going to apply to it very well because it was the same camera settings, it was the same moment, it's just a different angle, right? So it applies very well. So basically, if you've got one shot that any preset applies well to, most likely more shots or multiple shots from that day, that preset will also apply well to. So just so you know, we'll head over to this shot of Grand Thumb, which is the preset GT Cool Grain. So you hop in here and it's great. It's a one-click wonder, right? And let's just say this is your photo again and you've applied this preset, but let's say it's a little too cool for you, like cool toned for you, right? So maybe it's summer or fall and your feed is really warm. It's not really cool tones, but you really do like this edit. Hop into this basic and just change the temperature. You can literally take this, let's drag this over. It's a little cooler now. We'll drag it over to warmer. And a little more. So here we go. Put it over to warm in like the 7400s. And now it's a completely different photo. Like, you keep the same edit, you keep the same aesthetic, the contrast, all of the things. All you do is change the temperature. You made it from cool tone to a little more warm tone, and now maybe it fits your feed better, fits your style better, or whatever it is. So again, just hop in there, mess with these presets, mess with anyone's presets, and just like add or take from them, add your little flavor to them, and eventually just start working your way away from them. What I did with presets when I got them was initially I went too hard. I was using them too much, like I said, but eventually I got to the point where I was like, okay, what is in this preset that I do like? So that's how I figured out about tone curve. I really didn't use tone curve much for a long time, and I had some presets where people had tone curve, and I looked at it and I started moving around those points, and I was like, oh, I like what tone curve does and accomplishes, and I pretty much just use tone curve for everything. I don't really use the basics that much, although there is a ton of basic adjustments in this preset. I really like the tone curve, so hop in there, find out things that you do like, and then start making your own. Start editing a photo from scratch, or take a preset and maybe let it be your starting point, but maybe the only thing you keep from there are the tones, the highlights and the shadow tones, and you change everything else. You can set everything back to normal. You can go into this basic bar and you can, set that contrast back to 0, set the highlights back to 0, shadows, whites, blacks. And let's say this is a preset that we're given. How would I adjust this? I would definitely bring down the highlights because I think his skin is a little too harsh. Over here in his stomach area, I think it's just a little too dark, so that would be shadows as well as blacks. Not getting much from the shadows, but we'll bring that up, kind of make that background pop a little bit more. Bring up those blacks so it's not so dark. I think the saturation is a little much now with how warm it is, so drop that saturation a little bit. And already we've changed the photo a lot, right? Because the starting point of this photo was this. Now it is this, so it's a lot warmer, it's got a lot more contrast, it's whatever. So you can start with a preset, you can start right here, right, where this started, and you can end here. And I would encourage you guys to do that. Moving on, we've got another shot of Garanthem. This is the GT Warm preset. This again is another shot from that same day, just a different angle, but you throw this on and there you go. It's the GT Warm. Now, what you can do here, and even for me, because with this preset, I do like it, I do like this photo, but when I posted it to Instagram, I actually went into the Instagram tools and I edited a bit more. I thought there was kind of too much fade on it, so I added a little bit more contrast and dropped the highlights a little bit to make it exactly how I wanted before I posted to Instagram. And I would encourage that too. Don't be afraid to edit on top of your edits. You don't want to go too crazy, you don't want to make it way too much, but a couple tweaks here and there. If you're about to post it to Instagram, you're like, oh, you know what, I wish when I made this preset, or I wish when I edited this photo, I added a little more contrast, or it's, the highlights are a little blown out. Adjust it as you need to. You don't have to put it up as you have edited it as your final edit. There's nothing wrong with that. But right here, we've got the GT Warm, and like I said, this is another shot from that same day, so we can probably throw the cool grain on there, and yeah, and it applies well too. It's a little bit darker. The shot that this preset was made for was a lot closer, more portrait. There's a lot more detail. This photo is a little further, and there's a lot more information in here. So it's a little dark. These greens are a little saturated, so maybe we just bring those shadows up a bit, make it so it's not so dark. Maybe bring those blacks up just slightly as well. And we started here, and all we did was brighten it up a little bit just so it's not so harsh. So don't be afraid to mess with stuff. Moving on to the next preset that you guys are getting, you're getting the Shocker preset, which was made for this photo, which it applies pretty freaking great. Now, also notice this photo was taken in the snow, kind of overcasty, so it's good to know what photos presets were developed for, because then you can look in your inventory and find photos similar. This is a snow preset essentially, right? Made on a snowy day, so it matches those tones. So if you've got some snow shots, grab them out of your hard drives or whatever, throw them into Lightroom and start applying this preset, see if it looks well. And then again, just adjust it. Maybe it's a little too aggressive, maybe it's not aggressive enough, maybe it's too washed out, I don't know. But whatever it is on your photo, add to it or take from it as you need. And finally, we have the Winter is Coming preset, which is made for the other photo, which is a favorite, I believe, of you guys. It always gets a lot of love, but the Winter is Coming, and it's also another snow preset, right? So it's very good for those types of tones. You can see in here, basically the only colors you have are the green, a little bit of orange. So maybe you apply this to a portrait and the oranges aren't saturated enough. You know, maybe your subject's skin tone is off. You got to go in there and mess with the hue of the orange, saturation, luminance, whatever it is, but just get in there and mess around with it. But this is what this preset was made for. Now, if we move to the Shaka preset, which was made in a similar, like I said, it's a little blown out, washed out. It's not very saturated, but maybe I like it. Maybe I like the way that it just brightens up the photo. So I personally would hop into tone curve. I would drop it down already, adding a bunch of contrast there. The whites are a little harsh, so I would bring down these highlights. Yep, I would bring that down just a little bit more. I like how it softens up that sky. And then I would go into HSL. We've got no greens, no aquas, no blues, which is pretty much the colors that the camo is registering as. So what I like to do is, no one sees what you're doing when you're editing. No one sees how crazy, bad, good, or whatever you make it until you post it. So I like going in here and I will just fully saturate everything to see what it is it's affecting. So clearly there's way too much blue and way too much aquas, so I'm gonna drop that blue a ton, but you gotta get a frame of reference of what it's actually doing in order to know how much you want to take away from it and whatnot, right? So I would rather start on the more aggressive side and work back than back and try to work forward. So drop that aqua down, and now the greens aren't really registering in here in the camo, so maybe, you know, this photo just doesn't work for that. Or maybe you saturate those aquas more, but they're a little too aqua, so you make them a little more green, and that makes the camo kind of separate from everything else, and you just go from there. But basically, just keep taking to or adding from these photos. Don't just put a preset on and leave it. That's the best thing I could tell you, and that's the number one thing I keep repeating in this video, is to do that. So you guys got 5 presets here: the GT Cool Grain, the GT Warm, the Malone Labe, the Shaka, and the Winter is Coming. I really hope you guys enjoy them. I hope they work well for you. I just wanted to hop in here and show you, one, the photos they were developed for, which you will see when you get the pack anyways, but also how I would go about it if I was applying this preset to a random shot and it just wasn't working, or it looked good but just wasn't exactly my style, you know. So hop in there, mess around with things, whether it's tones, aesthetics, grain, whatever it is. Like I said, you've got this photo. If you're not, you know, a grain guy or a fade guy, boom, you take that fade off, you go into effects, you've got grain up to 44, take that grain away, you've got a completely different photo. Maybe you don't like how dark it is, you come back in here, or you go into the basic tab, shadows are already all the way up, maybe you bring those blacks up. Now it's a much softer image, right? We started here, we ended here, and that was just in a quick however many seconds of just talking to you guys and doing it on the fly. So get these presets, get anyone's presets, throw them on your photos, but adjust them, work with them, change them up, develop your own style. You know, I found it hard to develop my own style initially, so presets really helped me do that, but it's got to be the right mindset. You can't just get the presets and apply them and apply them and apply them and not ever adjust them. You're not going to develop your own style. You might develop a specific set of tones you like, but now you don't know how exactly to achieve them, right? So go through presets and look at all the settings and see what does what. I think knowing what you don't like is just as important as knowing what you do like, right? So go in there, mess with stuff, find out what does what, find out, you know, just how to really alter that photo and make it your own. I'm kind of just rambling, but I hope this was good for you guys. I hope this helps out. And if you have any other questions, shoot me a DM, follow me on Instagram at ShadowBandman, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.